So good.
Well, and speaking about this conversation, the thing that impressed me, a lot of things impressed me with Brian Young on the
Yeah.
Lone Officer Breakfast Club today. Of course, if you're not familiar listening to this, Brian Young
Yeah.
was David Lee Roth's guitar player for about 7 years in the early 2000s. A friend of mine, I went to high school with him. We played guitar together. He taught me guitar, is what he did. He taught me songs, but we've been friends for 40 something years. We had him on the show. And the reason we had him on the show is because his story isn't the typical rock star. It's like, I learned how to play, man, and we partied all night long, and somebody discovered us, and next thing you know, this and that. It wasn't anything like that. He was from a young child, young man at, 12, 13 years old, knew immediately, I want to be a professional musician. It wasn't even a rock star. He says, I just want to be
Right.
a
Right.
professional
Yeah.
musician. And he just dedicated his life to it, to do all the things he needed to do to become that professional musician as a guitar player, particularly, and wound up becoming the long story. We won't get into that, but wound up becoming a guitar player for David Lee Roth. You can't be any slouch if you're going to be David Lee Roth's guitar player, right? You got
Yeah.
to have some mojo going on. And so we talked to him about his success. We talked to him about what how he got there and things like that. And he gave us some things. And one of the things he said was we called it the yes ball, right?
I liked it.
Yeah,
Yes.
he
Yeah.
called it the
Talk about
yes
that.
ball. Yeah,
Yeah.
so the yes ball is he said, you know what? For me, I just knew I had to be out there. I had to be seen. I had to be
Mhm.
visible, right? How does this sound in the mortgage realm already? Do we have to be out there? Do we have to be seen? Do we have to be visible? Yes, right? Because he
Right.
knew the more that he was out there, more he's seen, the more visible he was, the more opportunities he would have to play, right? And so he would, the more he got to play, the more he would get asked to play, right?
Right.
Because people would see him and go, that guy's got is good at what he does. I want to work with him, or I want to bring him over here. So really, really neat. And I thought, well, that ties into us and the mortgage realm so well because when we have an active transaction going on, right?
Right.
We've got a deal. Okay, we got a deal. We're making it work. We are now officially performing, and we have an audience. Okay, and our audience has at least six. There's at least six people in our audience. Most of the time on a purchase transaction, you got a borrower and a co-borrower most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time. You got a listing agent and a selling agent most of the time. You've got an escrow or a closing attorney most of the time. You've got an insurance agent most of the time. So there's at least six in this audience that are watching you as this originator perform, right? Because if you don't close
Mhm.
a loan, ain't nobody's getting paid, nobody's moving, the deal doesn't it all comes down to your performance, right? As the originator. And so, but if you perform well, right? There's six people in that audience who will feel great about saying, "Hey, I need you to come play over here. I need you to
Right.
come play over here. I need you
Right.
to come play over there." So it is a matter for us of the yes ball for us. When we have an opportunity to do a transaction, we do it. But when we do it, we got to keep in mind we're performing, right? And in our performance, if we do it well, we'll get asked back.
Right.
Steve, what would you say is the biggest part of the performance that needs to be paid attention to at that
Hey,
point?
here's hey, and let me just say something real quick because what you're talking about is just the reps. What I loved, what he said was, and I thought this was really, really powerful. He said it didn't matter what they were willing to pay. I knew that if I kept playing at every opportunity, it would lead to the next opportunity. So I
Right.
just wanted to play. So, what's something that happens in a transaction? Touch the lead, touch the partner.
Mm-hmm.
Every time, you'll hear, excuse me, you'll hear people say, yeah, but I don't want to over, the
Right.
agent partner is going to feel like I'm bothering them. But part of what I'm thinking is, man, every time they give me a lead, I want them to know how diligent and how faithful we are in our follow up and communication so that they never wonder where that lead's coming. And so with every lead you get, it's the same process, the same way every time. It's touch the lead, touch the partner, touch the lead, touch the partner. And even this, Frank, what I was even thinking about is this. Every time I talk to the agent, I ask for the business. Why? I'm teaching them that what I'm doing with the agent, I'm actually going to do with every one of the relational leads they give me, which gives us more opportunities, which at the end of the day is what allows us to help our agent partners make even more money. And so I think part of the reps is just showing that you can be consistent, you can be faithful in what they're giving you, and that you're being a good steward, because you know that every referral is actual dollars that would go into their pocket. And so that was one I was thinking about, a simple process like touch the lead, touch the partner.
Exactly. That's exactly where I was hoping you would go with it, right? It's when we have an active transaction, we have an opportunity, we're performing.
Oh
But if
yeah.
we perform properly, if we continue, if at least once a week we're giving everybody a call in that transaction, everybody, give them a brief update, but then asking them if they know anybody
Yeah.
else, it's the yes ball, right?
Yep.
It's the yes
Yep.
ball, just like Brian was talking about. We get another opportunity to play, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Every file we have is like for Brian it'd be a gig, a show,
Yeah.
right? Every
Yeah.
file is a show, every file is a gig, and we have an opportunity to get another gig out of it, right?
Yeah.
If we
Hey,
perform well. And
you know what we're really, go ahead.
I was going to say,
What?
when I say perform well, I don't mean you close the loan on time, right?
Right.
That
Right. Right.
the
Right.
show's
That's
going to end.
expected. Yeah, that's
Even
expected.
with Brian, the show's going to end, right? It's
Right.
going to start and end. No, but for us, the performance
Yeah.
is the communication. The
There you go.
performance is the communication and asking for the business.
Yeah.
That's your performance. So you get your active transaction going. You're keyed up. You're poised, ready to perform. Perform
Yep.
it the way you need to perform it. Right.
Yeah.
Communicate with all six parties at least once a week. Every time you communicate with all six parties once a week, ask for the business. Ask if there's anything else you can help them with. Ask if they know anybody else that needs your help. It'll be the S ball will start rolling, and you'll
Mm.
start picking up new gigs, picking up new transactions.
Mhm.
Hey there, if you're loving the tips so far, make sure to hit that subscribe button and then click on the bell as well so you never miss out on more cool free tips coming your way. And also, would love to hear from you. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think or what you want to see next.
It was fascinating, his story, because he was talking about whenever he auditioned for David Lee, he wasn't nervous because he had been playing those songs for 3 years previous. And I even thought, he said he had, who was it? Ozzy Osbourne. He had auditioned for a lot of other people. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when he played their songs, they'll say, hey, you got to learn the song. You got a day, maybe 2 days
Yeah.
to practice it. And then we're going to have an audition. And I thought, how perfect was it? And what not only did he have the right opportunity to get in and do an audition, but he had been set up by playing these songs for years.
Right.
And so whenever he got the opportunity to play in front of David Lee, it was like, dude, I've been doing this for 3 years. I'm so practiced on it.
I know
And
all of
I
this
think,
stuff. Yeah.
I think that's a big part of what we do, is that we've every time we have a lead, every time we have a conversation, we've got the opportunity, and it's not perfection. It's reps, it's practice. And the more we do, the better we get. And the better we get, the more automatic it is. And the more automatic it is, the more it's like secondhand nature, man. And so
Right.
then maybe I'm working with a tilapia realtor, and then now I'm working with the tuna, and then you get an opportunity with a whale, and it's like, well, this is just the way we do it. You're
Yeah.
just experiencing what we've been practicing for weeks and months and
Exactly.
years. And what sometimes you would say, I'm so nervous they're a whale. Are you kidding? It's what we do.
It's what you do. You know what to do.
That's it,
You've
man.
been doing it.
That's
you just
it.
do what you do. Yeah.
And don't
So,
worry about it being perfect, because I imagine when he started playing the songs, it wasn't perfect.
yeah.
And what happens is, though, it's the reps time and time again. Hey, he said something that I thought was great too. There were two things. He said, when they said, hey, it's hard to be a professional musician, he thought, well, I'm just going to have to work doubly hard to make sure that that's what I do. So there
Right.
was no plan B.
Right.
And I thought this was powerful too. Instead of practicing 30 minutes a day, because see, he heard it's hard to be a professional musician. Most
Yeah.
people practice 30 minutes a day. He said, well, what if I practice 3 hours a day
Right.
or 5 hours a day?
Yeah.
And what I love, it's the same thing with what we do in prospecting. Like if you want to get to 6, 10, 15, 20 loans a month, the question is, how fast do I want to get there? And you know what
Right.
I heard? How many reps do I want to take?
Right.
How much time do I want to spend in prospecting? I can do
Yeah.
30 minutes a day, or I can do 3 hours a day.
Right.
Guess what? The only difference is time.
Yeah.
And I just thought, man, he really had a lot of wisdom in that, because it was like, well, if it's 30 minutes a day and that's the normal trajectory, I'm going to quadruple that and
Right.
get there faster.
I want to get
and
there
be even
faster.
better.
Yeah, yeah. When he said that, all I could think about was you, because he was saying, I was like, I know Steve is just eating this up
Oh, I
right now
loved it,
because
man. Yeah,
it's like it's what we teach, right? It's what you teach
yeah,
all the time with our loan officer network to all of our
yeah,
guys. You know, I mean,
yeah.
you're constantly saying, hey, how fast do you want to get there?
That's
It's
it.
just a matter of
That's it.
applying yourself more to it, and you'll get there faster,
That's
right? You
it.
get there faster, and it was so interesting that as a young kid, as a 13-year-old boy, his mind was working that way. It's
Oh,
like
it's
30 minutes.
fascinating.
That's the result. Why don't I do 3 hours? I get there
Yeah,
faster.
I'll get there
You know,
way
that
faster.
duh. You know what I mean? Like he didn't, it was just so he was a really interesting guy.
Yeah,
He's a
great
really, really
interview,
neat
man.
guy. Anyways, I guess we can wrap this whole thing up. I hope, people watching or listening got something out of this as originators. I'm sure you did. And I would say this too, man. If you want to talk about anything at all, man, maybe the network that me and Steve run, right? Something like that. Or if you want to learn, what we've got going on, or if you just want to talk about this particular topic a little bit more, just go to frankcall.com.
Love it.
Frankcall.com. You go there, you can grab a 15-minute call with me. Love to chat with you. I've been chatting to a lot of people, just
Yeah,
having great
great
conversations,
conversation.
getting people lined up, helping them out. Of course, some of them even coming over to the network, when it's right.
Yeah.
But yeah, just go to frankcall.com. Would love to help you out there and just have a conversation. But this one in particular, man, I'm going to call it the yes ball. We're going to title this the
Yeah,
yes
yeah,
ball.
yeah. I love
And
it.
it's
Hey,
it's
can I summarize it for
yeah,
us?
go ahead.
Okay, so number one, have clarity and focus.
Hmm.
Number two, there's no plan B. I mean, that was very clear. Number three, you want to expedite the time, expedite the amount of hours you're putting into your craft. And number four, say yes to every opportunity you get, because the reps are what'll make you great.
Wonderful. Great stuff.
That's it, my
Great,
man. Hey,
great
great
summary.
interview. Loved having your
Right.
friend on, and
Yeah.
it was so cool, man.
Yeah,
So
right on.
thank
All
you.
right. Well, hey,
All right.
man, you guys have a great day. Join us here next week at the Mortgage Loan Officer Podcast with myself and Steve Cos. We'll see y'all later. Adios.
See you.